And good evening. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My name is Heather Backman. I'm the director of the Hopkinton Public Library, and I'm really excited to share our strategic plan with you this evening. I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for Susan Porter, our trustees chair, for also being here this evening, helping me co-host. She will be monitoring the waiting room while I talk so that I don't have to focus on letting anybody else in who may be a little bit of a latecomer. So Susan, thank you for your help this evening. And I'm here to share with you tonight our new strategic plan. We may also have heard a strategic plan called a long-range plan. Basically, it's how the library has laid out what we are going to do for the community over the next 5 years. And I think without further ado, I will just jump right into it. So what we are going to talk about tonight, first and foremost, why it's important to plan, what a plan does. And then I'm going to talk about the specific plan that we have created and how we created it, the community needs, feedback, and other considerations that went into the writing of the plan. Of course, step through what the plan itself says, and then talk through what happens next. Now that we have this, what do we do with it? How do we use it to provide the best services we can to the community? So why do we plan? Why is it important? First of all, planning is a great way to enable clear communication, and communication in the truest sense of the word, which is two-way communication, both speaking and listening. At the library, we are always seeking to listen carefully to our community and to respond to what we hear and to provide services that address the needs and requests that we're hearing. But planning gives us a special opportunity to really dedicate time to listening in a particularly purposeful and intent way. Planning also gives us a way to share back with you what we've heard and what we intend to do in the next few years. We create a document which is available on our website, and I'll share with you later how you can find it. And I'll talk about what's in that document, of course, tonight. And that document helps us tell you this is what we heard, and this is what we're aiming to do for you over the next few years. In addition to communication, creating a plan gives us a clear vision and a common purpose that staff and the community members who also support the library can all work together to meet. And it provides decision-making guidance when we have to prioritize. We have limited resources, limited personnel, limited time, and limited money. And we need to make sure that we are focusing our use of those resources on the most important priorities. So having a clear plan helps us understand what those priorities are so that we know what is it that we need to say yes to and what can we say no to so that we preserve our resources to focus them on something that is more important and more in line with the community's needs. And finally, in the state of Massachusetts, when a public library has a strategic plan on file with the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, that library becomes eligible to apply for some additional small state level grants. These are grants that are funded with money that comes down from the federal government through the Library Services and Technology Act, which sends money from the federal government to all of the states, which is then distributed to libraries within the state by state library agencies. In Massachusetts, the Board of Library Commissioners uses some of that funding to provide these special additional grants for specific purposes that libraries can apply to once they have filed a strategic plan. So understanding why it's important for us to have engaged in this process and created a plan, how did we create the plan that I'm going to share with you tonight? We retained a consultant to work with us on this project, and I want to express my profound appreciation to the Hopkinton Public Library Foundation for their help in supporting the costs of working with the consultant. We convened an advisory group representing internal stakeholders as well as community members, and we tried to get a broad range of different people on the group. And the purpose of that group was really to keep us honest, to make sure that as we created this plan, both the plan itself and the process that we followed were really reflective of community needs. Working with that group, we developed some questions, and we used those questions to conduct 4 focus groups, one with the advisory group itself, one with the staff, and 2 that were open to community members in general. We also used those questions to run a community survey online for a few weeks in late November and early December. And that survey received nearly 400 responses. So we got quite a lot of feedback and quite a lot of data, which was fantastic. We took all of that data and we brought it back to the advisory group, the staff, and ultimately the trustees. And with these groups, we held a series of brainstorming sessions, and we asked them to help us pick out what were the key themes in that data and that feedback that we'd gotten. What were the big ideas that were emerging? Because we wanted to make sure that it was those repeated concepts, those big ideas, those consistent needs that the community was expressing that we ultimately brought into the plan that we wrote. Based on the data and the feedback that we got from the community, and based on our conversations about that data with these groups, we drafted a set of priority areas that we believed were the most important areas for the library to focus our efforts on. We also created a new mission statement for the library based on those priorities and based on what we had heard from the community. We sent a draft of the plan back by our key stakeholders, including the advisory group, asking them to review it for clarity and to make sure that in the course of drafting and revising the plan, we had retained all of the big important ideas that we'd identified in the community feedback, that nothing had been dropped or missed while we were working on refining things. And once that was done, we brought the strategic plan back to our board of trustees, who voted to approve the plan at their January meeting. As we were going through this process and as we were listening purposefully and intently to the community, what did we hear? What was the feedback that we then brought into the creation of the plan? First and foremost, we heard that this town values and appreciates its library. And some of the key themes that emerged in this area of the feedback that we heard was that the town appreciates the warm and welcoming environment in the library, and especially the ways that staff contribute to that environment. The town appreciates the opportunities that the library creates for learning, entertainment, and quiet work. The ways that the library facilitates social connection, community collaboration, and interpersonal engagement. And also that of everything that we offer, the resources and the programming that we provide for children and teenagers specifically are very highly valued. We also heard that you would like to see a lot more from us. We heard requests for more access to our resources, including expanded hours, or expanded collections in multiple formats and languages. We heard that you would like to see us continue and expand some of the new services that we've launched in response to the pandemic. We heard you'd like to see more events for all ages. We heard about and we observed a very clear need for us to communicate better with you, the community, about what it is that we offer. We heard a clear imperative for more active and visible engagement with concepts of diversity, equity, and social justice. And finally, we heard some interest in the creation of a makerspace or for areas for creative work within the library. What I'm about to show you are some summary tables. They are in the strategic plan document itself. So if you've already seen the document, you've seen the tables. And again, I'll direct you to where you can go to read it so that you can find it and take a look at these at your own leisure. I'm just going to summarize a little bit what we have here. We did ask people to rank how important a variety of different services that the library provides are. And so these are the top 10 most important services by ranking from our community survey. We also asked, what could we do differently, or what could we do that's new that would entice you or your family to use the library or services more? And we asked this about a few different domains that we work within. In the area of events, almost 2/3 of people asked to see more arts and cultural events, and nearly half or more than half of our respondents said that they would be interested in seeing more kind of traditional events, things like participation in the holiday stroll or the stuffed animal sleepover, as well as events for children. When it comes to collections, we heard very clearly that there's a desire to see more new and best-selling titles be more readily available, particularly in print format, but also digitally. And we also heard interest in what we would call a library of things, which are items that we can check out that are not books, movies, music, or magazines. For resources and services, we also heard that there's particularly strong interest in STEAM programming and resources for children and teens. And STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Something else that we asked on the survey was, we asked, when you come to the building during normal times, not during COVID, or when you're interacting with our website, what are you doing while you're with us? And very clearly, we saw, as you might expect, when people are here in the building, large majorities of people are borrowing materials. When people are interacting with our website, significant majorities of people are there to interact with our catalog, to look for materials, or they are there to interact with their library account in some way. But we also saw that significant minorities of people, when they are in the building, are here to attend programs or events, to read or browse, and to spend time with their children. On the website, about half of the people are coming to learn about programs or events that we're offering, and a third of people are there to download digital materials. Beyond the feedback that we heard from the community about your needs, your interests, there were a few additional contextual factors, critical issues that we knew this plan needed to give us support in addressing and needed to reflect. And the first of these is really just the pace and volume of change at the library in the last several years. The renovation process and subsequent years have seen tremendous amount of change, a large number of new opportunities, as well as new challenges coming out of the new building, significant increases in use, significant changes in the ways that people are using the library now that there are these new opportunities within the new building. So we find ourselves as a staff working in jobs that are very, very different from what they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. We're asking staff to do a lot of new and different things, and we're asking staff to do more. We're hiring staff to bring people on board with new skill sets and new perspectives to help us with some of the new work that we need to do. And we're also hiring staff to help us manage the increased volume of work coming along with the new building and increased use. In addition to the changes for the staff, we've been having some similar conversations in a sense with our trustees and the library friends and foundation regarding changes in their roles. The renovation has really had an impact on these groups as well, and we've been discussing what our new circumstances mean for them and how each of these groups can meaningfully and uniquely contribute to the library's mission. So we knew that the strategic plan that we came up with needed to give the staff and our affiliate groups and our trustees support and guidance as we continue to navigate forward through these changes in use and in our own roles within the library. And finally, when you talk about change, you really can't not talk about last year. 2020 changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and the library is no exception. Coming out of COVID and into recovery, the community has a number of new needs that we as a library need to help support and address. 2020 also really shone a spotlight on the continuing injustices present in our society and the need for institutions to engage with and seek to ameliorate these injustices, particularly injustices around racism, but other social injustices as well. Anti-racism, equity, diversity, inclusion are values that are baked into modern public library philosophy. But as a field, we have not always lived up to our ideals, and even where we have done well, we can always do better. So 2020 really made it clear that there is a strong imperative for organizations, including libraries, to engage thoughtfully and deliberately in these areas. 2020 also has generated a lot of continuing uncertainty. As we move through COVID recovery, we still don't know exactly what our services are going to look like in recovery at what point, what we're going to be able to resume when. We also have some uncertainty surrounding our resourcing. The town's budget process is going to be tight in the next couple of years as COVID has impacted tax funding. We receive money from the state through state aid that is appropriated as part of the state budget process. And the state budget is also being impacted by tax impacts from COVID. And our fundraising affiliates have spent the last year unable to run the large events that they really pull in a lot of their money from. So while their finances are still good at this point in time, and they've been able to offer us very generous support, they are experiencing challenges with how to continue sustaining their cash flow. So we knew that we also needed a plan that would support us with all of these changes and this uncertainty and enable us to make effective decisions and act in effective ways, even while we continue to have to adapt sometimes on a day-to-day basis to all kinds of changes and uncertainties. Beyond change, a couple of other situational factors that we knew this plan needed to incorporate included, number one, the fact that we serve a community that has exceptionally high expectations and that those expectations continually increase. In our own, what we heard from the community, we heard a clear high priority placed on personal individual convenience. And we heard a high priority placed on responsiveness to the changing needs of the community at both an individual and group level. We knew that we needed a plan that would support us in achieving at a high level to meet those high expectations of the community and adapting as the expectations grow and change. We also knew that we needed a plan that would address the question of resourcing, and particularly personnel resourcing, and particularly resourcing as it relates to the very high expectations that we strive to meet. We as a library have run lean on staffing for a very long time. We continue to run lean. How do we best address the needs of the community and excel at doing so with the resourcing we have? And how do we articulate what we need to really do our very best and hopefully find ways to obtain those resources? Our plan needed to give us a route forward to doing that. Really, fundamentally, the broader issues beyond the community feedback that we knew this plan needed to address was the question of flexibility. With the uncertainties that we are subject to since 2020, with the continuing pace and volume of change that we were experiencing before that point, and that is going to continue indefinitely, with the need to respond rapidly to high and changing community expectations, and with the need to continually consider how we're using our resources most efficiently, we needed a plan that would support us in being flexible. When you look at library strategic plans, as they have been written for many libraries over the past several years, the traditional structure is one that is very rigid and very concretized. And you will see library strategic plans that articulate what the library is going to do down to the individual project level for 3 to 5 years into the future. If we'd had a plan like that at the outset of 2020, a large swath of that plan, perhaps the entire plan, would have been obsolete today. The trustees and I knew that as we embarked on this planning process, we needed something that was going to articulate a clear vision and a clear set of goals that was going to support us in staying aligned with those goals and priorities, but was going to allow us to have the flexibility on the ground, day by day, month by month, year by year, to adjust our approach flexibly as needed in response to changing circumstances, changing needs, new ideas, new requests. And so to do that, we created a structure that's a little bit different from the traditional strategic plan that you might see at another library. If you've read the plan, you'll have seen, if you are about to read the plan at a later point, you will see. Our strategic plan identifies a mission for the library. It identifies 5 key priority areas that our work will be focused on to meet that mission. And for each priority area, it identifies 3 to 5 strategies that we're going to apply, which are higher level directions for our work. What the plan itself does not do is identify the specific action steps or projects that we're going to undertake over the next 5 years to move forward within those strategies and those strategic areas. That work is work that the staff and I are going to do on an annual basis when we create something that's called an annual action plan. Doing this work annually will enable us to take into account new circumstances, new ideas, new needs, and to adjust our response much more flexibly and responsively to what's actually going on in our context, in our community at that time. So when I go through the plan with you, as I'm about to do in a minute, I'm going to step through each priority area. And that's what's in the plan. I'm going to tell you what our vision is for that priority area and what our strategies are. But we have just completed our action plan for the upcoming fiscal year, FY22, which runs from next July through to June of 2022. And so after I talk about a priority area, what I will then do is share with you a selection of the projects that are in our action plan for the next fiscal year, so that hopefully you can see both what the plan is itself and how that plan is going to translate year by year into responsive action on the ground to better serve our community. And I will talk a little bit more about the action plans and how they will work and what they will mean at the very end of the presentation as well. So with that, I'm going to take a quick drink of water. I've been talking for a little while. And let's talk about the strategic plan. What's in the plan? As I mentioned, we have a new mission statement. Our mission is to inspire exploration, discovery, and engagement as we enrich and strengthen the social network of our diverse community. We're going to pursue that mission by working within 5 key strategic priority areas: connecting our community, providing access to education, arts, culture, and knowledge, creating an inclusive, welcoming, safe environment for all, striving to deliver an exceptional customer-focused user experience, and stewarding and obtaining the appropriate resourcing to accomplish these other strategic priorities. So going through these priority areas one by one. For our first priority, connecting our community. Our vision is to be a community gathering place, bringing the town together through shared spaces as well as resources, programs, and events. And to do this, we will follow 4 key strategic directions. We will sustain and increase the collaboration and communication that we have with individual residents and with groups and organizations within the town. We will facilitate community discourse. We will provide access to local government and historical resources. And we will encourage each staff member to build deep relationships with and knowledge of the community, and then leverage those relationships and that knowledge to carry out our mission. I'm just seeing Christine coming in, and I'm not sure if Susan's still here, so I'm going to welcome Christine in. So that is our first priority. Hello, Christine. You're connected to audio. Christine, we are recording this, so if you do not want to be on video, I suggest you click the stop video button.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
and you may also want to click the mute button as well. Thank you. So this is our first priority. How are we going to carry that priority forward on an on-the-ground project-based level in the next year? Here's a sampling of the projects that we're going to undertake in fiscal year 22 under this priority area. As soon as it is safe and feasible to do so, we will work to bring community groups back in to use our meeting rooms. We will work on increasing our collaboration with the schools, especially in the areas of working together on summer reading, increasing teachers' awareness that we have a young adult librarian who can be a resource, and hopefully being able to present at school open houses. We will continue to co-sponsor events with outside groups. We will also bring community members in as presenters to our own events, and we have a couple of ideas about how we will do that. We'll convene a group of volunteers and staff to plan a human library event, which we hope to launch in fiscal year 2023. We'll create a guest librarian service that will help community members share things that they are enjoying with their neighbors. We'll create guides and resource lists about interacting with town government effectively and about accessing helpful governmental and public service resources. We will bring Hopkinton 101 back as an in-person event if it is safe to do so. We'll ask community groups in to present to the staff at staff meetings. And we'll work with the Board of Trustees to support their own development as advocates and their connections with the community. For our second priority, providing access to education, arts, culture, and knowledge, our vision is to reaffirm our commitment to the library's fundamental focus on reading, learning, and personal exploration, and to serve as a trusted source for accurate information. To do this, we'll make sure that our collections are broad-based, up-to-date, and accurate. We will make sure those collections represent a wide variety of formats and that they continue evolving in response to changing community needs and interests. We will offer technology resources that support you as you access, evaluate, and use resources and information that extends beyond our physical collections. We will contribute to Hopkinton's vibrant intellectual cultural life through the events that we offer. And we will look for new ways to promote the community's use of our resources. What does this look like on a practical project-based level in the next year? We will be launching a library of things thanks to a generous donation from the foundation. We will restart our Lucky Day browsing collection. We will research and test out some additional databases and downloadable content. We'll continue developing non-English collections. We will write a technology plan that will address how we can most effectively use technology to support our strategic priorities. We'll get our 3D printer, which was also purchased by the foundation, up and running. We will look into ways that we can provide more effective technology instruction. We'll offer a variety of programming, including a mental health series for teenagers, a workshop series on relaunching your career, which the Friends of the Library will be contributing funding to support. We will support Friends' launch of new programming that they are putting on, which will include English conversation circles and a new continuing education arts and culture lecture series. We'll continue our quick pick service, launch the Sunday hours that we had previously planned to offer, assuming that we are able to return our staffing levels to 100% and that COVID has allowed us to do so. And we will plan a home delivery service to reach homebound people in our community. For our third priority, to create an inclusive, welcoming, and safe environment for all. Our vision is to be a community destination, providing spaces, resources, and experiences that are welcoming, comfortable, safe, and respectful for our entire community and beyond. And that our doors, whether they are physical or virtual, will be open to everybody. To do this, we will make sure that our services and resources embody a broad range of perspectives and experiences. We will reach out to and engage with people in the community who don't currently use the library and investigate ways that we could serve them better. We'll identify and address racism and other biases, systemic injustice, and inequity in the community and in our delivery of our own services. We'll actively seek out community partners for this work, and we will continue to adhere to some of the foundational documents of public library work that guarantee privacy and freedom to read and freedom to learn. What this means for the next year includes that we will work to create a better structure to ensure that our programming, our resources, and our other efforts reflect a wide variety of observances, cultural holidays, and themed months. We'll resume full operating hours as soon as we can, given COVID circumstances and staffing levels. We'll look at what demographics in our community may have been underrepresented in the feedback that led to the creation of this strategic plan, and we will seek their input and incorporate it into our plans going forward. We'll bring back public computer access as soon as feasible and safe, formally launch ourselves as a fine-free library, create an advisory group on diversity, equity, inclusion to help us keep ourselves engaged with those concepts and making sure that we are really doing our best to be an equitable, inclusive, and just institution. We will train staff on diversity, equity, and inclusion, co-sponsor events with outside groups that reflect diverse perspectives, continue our partnership with HCAM to make recorded programs available to the community through HCAM post-COVID, continue our partnerships with SACH and the Hopkinton Chinese American Association on our Not in English collections, and reach out to some other possible collaborators, including the School English Language Learning Department, the Hopkinton Freedom Team, and the Mental Health Collaborative to see if we can build partnerships and work together. For our fourth priority, striving to deliver an exceptional customer-focused user experience. Our vision is to be committed to continual improvement and aim to provide top-notch customer service that responds effectively to the changing needs of our community. To do this, we will make sure that our staff is knowledgeable, service-oriented, and creative, and that they have the training and support necessary to actively seek innovative approaches to our services. We'll promote what we do in new and different ways to reach as many people as possible. And we'll make sure that our physical building is clean, comfortable, easy to navigate, accessible, and flexible. Projects we'll undertake in this priority area in the next year include creating a staff technology competencies list to facilitate assessment and training, writing a values statement for the staff, creating a marketing plan, reopening our building for use to the greatest extent that we safely can, given COVID and staffing levels, work with a Boy Scout to install a story walk on site, create a plan to launch the art gallery in our large event room, and investigate possible shelving modifications or additions to allow for further growth in our children's collections. Last but certainly not least, our final priority, to steward and obtain the resources needed to accomplish our strategic priorities. Our vision here is to leverage available resources to their fullest and also to advocate for additional support as needed to enable us to fully meet community expectations. We will do this by practicing sound and efficient management of the resources we have, making sure that our mission, priorities, and action plans are aligned with town finances. We will also actively seek out robust additional support to make sure that we can provide those enhanced and expanded services that the community needs and wants. And finally, we will continue to work with our Friends of the Library and the Hopkinton Public Library Foundation, sustaining, building, and further defining our relationships with these groups so that they can do their best work in supporting our best work. Projects that we'll undertake in this priority area next year include working to resume fuller staffing and operations as we recover from COVID, including filling our frozen vacancies, and as the state begins to re-implement minimum requirements for certification, adjusting our operations to make sure that we are meeting those requirements. We will continue to review, create, and revise library policies, particularly a volunteer policy, create a staffing plan, laying out what staffing levels we would hope to have in order to most effectively reach our highest aspirations under this new strategic plan, enhance our funding for downloadable items, investigate support to bring Ken Wadike Jr., who you may also have heard of as Free Hugs Man, to the library in the upcoming fiscal year, benchmark our resourcing to understand where we fall in relationship to comparable towns, create memoranda of understanding with our friends and foundation, and of course, obtain the support of our friends and foundation for items in the action plan, which they have already generously granted for several items under consideration for FY22, and I'm sure they will be very willing to provide for FY23 as well. So that being the plan, what happens next? Our intention is that this plan does not just get done, get filed, and sit on a shelf. We want this to be a living document and one that impacts our operations and our work for you every single day. How are we going to do that? First and foremost, we're going to continue getting the word out. I will continue giving these talks as long as there's somebody interested in them. And if you have a community group or even just a group of neighbors and you would like me to come and share about our plan with your group, please reach out. My contact information will be on the final slide. I am more than happy to have a conversation. But most importantly, the way that this plan sustains itself and becomes a part of the ongoing life of the library will be through these action plans. And you've seen an example now integrated with my discussion of the plan of the kinds of things that are in an action plan. This is where we will describe the specific steps and projects that the library is going to engage in each year to improve our own operations and services to the community within each of our strategic priority areas. We'll be working on them each fall. The staff and I will develop them together, taking into account situational factors, resources, new needs, new ideas, and any information and feedback and thoughts that we've gotten from the community in the intervening time since the last action plan. Please do keep an eye out in the fall or the very late summer. We will solicit thoughts, ideas from you. It may come in the form of a formal survey if we have specific questions we want to ask, or we may simply say, if you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, this is a great time to do it because we're making our plans for the upcoming year. And that saying that, please don't wait for that point to offer thoughts and feedback if you have any. We're always open to hearing your ideas, your needs. You can reach out to me anytime. And if you have something that we may want to put in a future action plan, I can take that idea at any point and hold on to it until we're ready to put that in an upcoming plan. Once the plan is complete, and it will typically be complete by the end of the calendar year. So by next January, we will have our plan for the fiscal year 2023 complete. We will be sharing these out with the community, publicizing them through our publicity channels, putting them on our website on the same page as the strategic plan, really trying to get the word out. And if you pay attention to broader town happenings, you will hear about our strategic plan and our action plans in the town budget process. You will hear about them if you read the town annual report, which includes the departmental reports, because these plans will guide everything we do. And therefore they will guide our resourcing requests, and they will guide how we talk about what we've accomplished for you. And we won't stop with just telling you what we're going to do. At the end of each year, to be accountable to you for what we have done, we will create a progress update that tells you exactly what we did accomplish in the last fiscal year, given the action plan that we had. And those progress updates, again, will be shared in all the same ways through our publicity channels, on our website, through presentations or conversations I may have around town. So we will really do everything that we can to try and help keep you informed about what's going on at the library year to year, what our plans are, and to get your thoughts and feedback. Because really what we are here for is to serve you and to meet your needs. So everything that we do under the strategic plan hopefully should be driven by what the community needs us to do. And with that, that's our plan. Thank you so much again for your presence this evening, for coming. In a moment, I will turn the recording off so we can have a Q&A with the folks who are here. But if there is something you want to discuss with me in a more one-on-one way, if you have something come up after this evening's presentation is over, or if you are watching this as a recording and you have questions or thoughts, my contact information is on this slide, and please feel free to reach out to me at any time. This slide also has the link that you can go to on our website to read the strategic plan and to read our fiscal year 22 action plan. So thank you again. I really appreciate your interest and your time. And with that, I'm going to pause the recording or stop the recording, and we can have a Q&A section.